What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Collider Interview Studio at Fantastic Fest 2024. I am especially excited to be sitting with the team behind Vox Machina because I told you before we even started, I am a newcomer to this show and I am a newcomer to your work in general, and the creativity and the joy I feel leaping off the screen in your show brings me life. So I am so happy to be celebrating with you all right now.
Welcome.
Thanks for having us.
One of us.
The water's warm.
Yes. Officially.
Enjoy the shenanigans.
We've got jackets.
Hopefully we don't hurt you too bad.
Yeah. Before we get into show specifics, because we are at Fantastic Fest, and Fantastic Fest is all about celebrating genre and horror storytelling, I must ask you the most basic horror question. What's your favorite scary movie?
Man, this is tough.
Don't start with me. I'm the biggest baby of the group.
It's true.
I love scary movies, but I yell in movies. I jump and kick in movies. I think The Ring is the one that did the most damage to me over the longest period of time.
Those reactions during a horror movie screening, though, are the best.
Oh, I mean, being in that live audience and hearing everybody scream. We are big horror lovers in my family. My mother was born on Halloween and her mother was born on Halloween. So
I didn't know it was 2 generations.
That is the coolest thing ever.
Wow.
Yes. So massive horror fans. I would say like OG growing up, every year we would watch the original Amityville Horror.
Ooh, good choice.
Long Islander. I've watched that a lot.
So good. But I would say recent, newer ones, my husband Matt and I, we love The Descent.
Ooh,
But the British ending, not the American ending.
If you know, you know.
Yes.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, that's a strong contender. My old school, I grew up in the 80s and watched horror movies at age 5. I remember seeing Poltergeist at age 5 and being scarred irreparably. 5 years old.
Yeah.
5 years
It's
old.
questionable.
That's right. That's right. These days, I really am a big fan of a movie that I know you and Matt like as well, Heredity.
Oh, yeah.
Hereditary.
Excuse me, I misspoke. That
A24.
That one screwed me up real bad. But it's science fiction, but one of my favorite movies of all time, I think it counts, is Alien. I can't bump Alien. It's a masterpiece.
Every time I hear Hereditary, all I want to do is go, payment.
Yeah.
I'm somewhere, I think Exorcist is probably my favorite old school one, but I think I love In the Mouth of Madness or Event Horizon.
Oh, we rewatched Event Horizon, I think last year for spooky season. Holds up.
Yep.
Still terrifying. It's great.
You are all name dropping the right titles now. I approve of all answers. So again, I am a bit of a newcomer to the show and your work in general. So I kind of wanted to go back a little bit because I love hearing about when actors find their characters. And I know this happened way back in the day with these three. So do you remember the specific moment where you came up with an idea or did some sort of performance thing that made you say, like, I know who my character is now?
That's interesting because all of these characters initially were just pulled out of our ass around a card table in an apartment with no forethought at all.
As all things are.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that I had never played any sort of tabletop RPGs before. So when we sat down and we had built a character, our brilliant GM, Matt Mercer, was like, what's your character's name? Hadn't thought of it. And being a Monkey Island fan, I said, Grog. They're like, tell us about Grog. I was like, he makes fine leather boots. And he had like an intelligence score of 6. So I knew that I was instantly suited to be the best dummy ever.
I sometimes forget he's the vaguest Monkey Island references. I forget about that. Oh, yeah. I actually, so the very, very first day that we all played together, I was there as support because I was one of the few people along with Taliesin Jaffe who had played a tabletop RPG. And so I was basically there to reach over people's shoulders and point at stats and tell people what to do. And then when it became a long running game, I jumped in. And I tell this story a lot, but I was sitting at a table with some of the greatest and most prolific voice actors of the realm. And so I was like, well, maybe if I play someone a little fumbly and who's like kind of insecure, it'll just hide my real insecurity. So yeah. I
can also remember talking with Laura Bailey about what would be go on to become the twins in our story, Vex and Vax. And she said, what are you playing? I'm like, oh, I'm going to do a rogue. She went, I want to be a rogue. And I was like, you could do that too. We could be twins. Well, yeah, but I have this really cool name. I'll be Vex. I'll be Vax. And it just kind of like spooled out again, just pulled out of our noses at the last second. And now it's like this centerpiece part of both of their characters. And just she's like my real sister in real life. And funny how shit happens.
I love it. You see it leaping off the screen in this. You feel it. Again, because I'm a newcomer, I feel the need to ask this particular question because there's a lot of folks out there who might not have jumped into the show just yet. And they might look at it and say to themselves, like, my God, not only is the show in its third season, but it has so much history and lore behind it. So what would you tell someone who is sitting there and thinking to themselves, like, it's too far ahead, I can't get there, in order to get them to jump in now?
Yeah, it can seem like a big thing to jump into, but the animated series is the perfect entry point, right? There are these little bite-sized episodes. They're half-hour long. It's meant to introduce you to the characters in the world in little bits. And if you're hooked, there's 3 seasons now that'll get you in. And then if you feel like you've got the appetite to take on a live-streamed episode where our actual play was going on, then it's sitting there waiting for you in various forms on Beacon, on YouTube, or on Twitch. And obviously with the Mighty 9 animated series coming after that, you'll get to see more of the world as well. So this is just the first offering of some of the characters that we have in our Critical Role universe.
We love hearing when people start with animated and go to the campaigns because we've done our best to sort of crystallize the essence of the story and the characters and give it to you in that streamlined package. But then when people jump to the campaign, it just balloons outward and there's thousands of moments that we couldn't fit in there. And so, yeah, if you find something you like in the cartoon, then there is that times 100 in the campaigns waiting for you.
I would also say too, I've heard a few instances of people not getting past the pilot because they're like, oh, it's too vulgar, it's too bloody, it's too gory, I don't know if this is for me. But the first 2 episodes go together, and while it may be a little intense with the gore and the violence up front, you immediately get hit with the heart of the show in the second episode. So at least watch 1 and 2 and then see if you like it and go from there.
I love it. That's my reverse experience. I do love and appreciate the heart, but I'm like,
yes,
like gore and bad language and drinking. Yeah. Let's do it.
We were intentional from the start. Like, we want to shock them right out of the gate. We want to make it very clear what kind of show we're making.
There is no quicker way to get your claws in me, and I was instantly on board. Yes. Looking at your voice performances for season 3 now, I'm curious, is there any particular scene for your character from seasons 1 and 2 that you found yourself holding especially tight to while doing your season 3 performance and influencing it?
Oh, that's a great question.
I think for me, Grog in season 2 had a big backstory reveal. So we got to see where he came from, what his real family was like, and sort of the circumstances that ended up pushing him towards his found family, which is Pike and Willingham, and then obviously the rest of Vox Machina after that. But you got to see kind of what makes him tick, right? He's this huge, overpowered, muscled warrior that could just smash through things with little regard for the smaller things in life. And I think for him, it's really important to think about the little guy and to put himself in the shoes of other people. And that's an empathy you're not really expecting from that character. And so in season 3, we get to see that a little bit more. He's taking care of the littles, as it were, the Pikes and Scalens of the group. And it's nice to see where that goes and how he doesn't just smash things, but also looks to mend them within the group too.
The role reversal in season 2 made me very happy.
I'd say there's a lot of hints to some of the deeper fears of all of the party members in the first couple of episodes or first couple of seasons. But a lot of times there are little nods or little one-off conversations of like, yeah, I've got this fear, but I don't have time to deal with that now. And I think we were able to kind of take time to confront a lot of those fears with a lot of the characters in season 3 in a really meaningful way. And sometimes very literally. Episode 7.
In season 2, just like in the campaign, Vax, somewhat by accident, hitches his wagon to the god of death in our world. And I think everything that happens after in that season and for the entire rest of the story, you know, in that episode, he asks to the air, what did I just do? And everything afterwards is figuring out where on the timeline and what his relationship is with this goddess of death is, whether he's resisting it, embracing it, afraid of it, or seeing its value, changes with every passing season.
Good teases. I kind of wanted to follow up on something you were just saying, because I'd written this down from a different interview you did. You'd mentioned season 1 is about them coming together as a family. Season 2 is about them managing that family. How does season 3 kind of continue that path in a new way?
Yeah.
Add on to your previous quote.
I would say season 3 is definitely about the stresses of a found family, and if it really is healthy of a relationship and them navigating that. I think there's familiarity can breed content, and I think you see a little bit of that in this season of questioning it.
And what happens when the family starts to fracture as well,
Yes.
right? Those
I don't like
stressors
that.
are so significant.
Yeah, can you overcome it when it's needed the most?
And there are very strong growing pains.
I know we need growing pains to make them stronger characters and a stronger group, but it hurts my heart a little because again, the heart is a big part of this, and I just want them to get along and live happily ever after and walk off into the sunset together. But if that happened, we wouldn't have more show, so that is bad.
Oh, the amount of times we've been watching back at the series, and you're like, no, don't fight.
Yeah, we want you to want it. We just don't want you to have it.
Yeah, I mean, that's how storytelling works. I wanted to focus on your work as voice actors now, because again, 3 seasons in, you pick up new skills every single step of the way. Can you tell me something about your character's season 3 storyline that challenged you as a voice actor and maybe added a new voice acting tool to your toolkit, so to speak?
I think one of the fun things is that because we record as a group, we're in this giant soundproof padded room, which is probably appropriate for our personalities. But it's also great because we get to scratch a lot of the other characters, and we've been the recipients of such amazing performances from Matt Mercer as our GM for all of these years now. But it's nice to be able to put on the hats of some of these other characters and just do a little portrayal that will really only live as long as the animatics are being made, because we get to see, the show and all the various stages of production. And it's obviously going to be replaced by brilliant actors, but it's fun just putting on all of the different outfits, if you will, of these sort of rich characters.
You got one?
I do.
Go for it.
You go. Okay.
Paper, rock, scissors.
I would say probably really flexing the dramatic and the tragic moments. I would say 80% of voice acting that we do is for video games or anime, animation, and a lot of times that can skew more action heavy or comedy heavy. So having an animated show where you can really tap into those muscles and bawl your eyes out on the mic is it's a treat.
I'm going to pivot slightly. Marisha and I got to join as writers on this season, and it has been great to work on the voices of the other characters, because we've all spent so much time. I've spent time with Vax, you've spent time with Keyleth, but I got to get into the head of Percy and Vex and Grog and Scanlan, and just getting to handle this creative process from that side of it has been one of the more rewarding parts of season 3 for me.
Oh, I have so many follow-up questions. I'm gonna go in reverse and follow up on what you just said. For both of you, actually, jumping in as writers, is there any other character's voice who came more naturally to you to write than you had expected?
Good question.
That is a great question. Probably Percy for me. And Taliesin and I have talked a decent amount about this, about how Percy and Keyleth are kind of opposite ends of the spectrum of each other, but they are still under the same umbrella. And so they're kind of like a weird mirror of each other in some way. but I think that also has to do with who we are as people in real life. So, and he's just such a witty character. He's such a little smart ass. He's very fun to write.
It was very smart claiming the smart character is the one that came to you easiest and not the dumbass. Sure, Percy.
I also enjoyed writing Percy a lot. I loved writing. I got to help sort of like launch the ship stuff with Percy and Vex this season, and I loved writing both of them. I like to think I know my twin really well, so it was really a joy to write Vex. I can hear her in my head all the time. And I liked writing for Grog because you just have to come up with the most left field, weird, goony thing in any given important, sensitive situation.
The characters where the filters are removed, so Grog is great and Scanlan is also a blast because there's really no wrong choice. It's only a matter of what you have space to actually say.
That's so true.
Let's see if I remember my other follow-up questions. Marisha, I think you brought up like emoting and like kind of like crying, and it's making me think of this because I'm fascinated by efforts when you have to be a voice actor.
Oh yeah.
For each of you, what effort comes most naturally to you, and what is the most difficult effort to do believably?
I think when you're doing so many attack efforts, spell casting efforts, pain efforts, it's all super fun to do, but one of the challenges is trying to make sure that they are a little bit different. And they do fit in the moment.
That's a very good point.
Keyleth screams a lot. And I think the moments that you don't want it to sound cringy or cheesy or bad are when it's these big, long, explosive screams, these prolonged ones that can sometimes be 3, 5, 6 seconds of a scream. So trying to get those out and also not damage your voice can sometimes you break a sweat.
I feel lucky as Vax because not that we don't all take massive body blows and we don't all charge in yelling at things, but he's the speedster of the group, so it's more little accent marks as he blasts off. So it's just like little explosions of air. But this group has been working in games and animation for a lot of collective years, and we all have a ton of experience and laugh at ourselves because it's really, I'm going to impart to the audience something that I've said as a director over the years, which is good battle efforts and pain reactions is a combination of poo sounds and sex sounds mixed together. So there's just plenty of moments in where, taken out of context, where you do not see a visual of someone getting smashed by a hammer. We point and laugh at each other.
Poo sounds and sex sounds. I will never unhear that. That's great.
Yeah.
Which one was it? You decide. I would say we all have our different idiosyncrasies when we're recording. The finely tuned ear will notice that Grog, most of his reactions start with the letter G. Yep. For whatever reason, I always go, whatever. I don't know why it happens that way, but it does. And unlike in our live stream, where I did not scream at the top of my lungs while we were playing, because that would just be insano. I love the therapy of just getting to tell the engineer to turn the mic all the way down and letting a 5-second big barrel-chested roar rip. I'm a Dragon Ball Z fan at my core, and so any chance I can, blow my voice out, I'm here for it.
It makes all the sense in the world. All right, I'm going to end on 2 questions, one of which is a tease for what is to come in season 3. We obviously don't want to spoil anything, but can you each tell me which season 3 episode you are most looking forward to seeing and why?
Can we start?
You go.
Episode 4, I think, is going to change the trajectory of where our characters are heading, and also maybe usurp some expectations from our audience. So I'm really interested to see how people react to that.
I'll say catching up with a certain dragon or 2.
I like that.
I'll say 308 because things go down at the end of 307, and I'm so excited to see people really sink into those realizations.
Yeah.
See, now they can mark their
Good
calendars and just know that pain is coming.
Yeah.
We're really looking forward to you guys losing your minds.
100%.
We really are.
Oh, that is what gets me to jump into every show and film out there. So I like that. We have been ending every Fantastic Fest interview with this particular question. Little rambly, but here's why we're asking it. First interview that came in was for the movie The Rule of Jenny Penn. It stars John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush. That director kept emphasizing how cool it was to see acting legends like them take such joy in their work. Can you tell me the single moment making Legend of Vox Machina Season 3 where you felt the most joy as a creative?
I think for us in the production process, when the music comes in, it is really so rewarding. You know, most of these stories have lived in our heads, have lived in our audience's heads. We all have different mental movies that have played out, but hearing the brilliant Neil Acree drop his soundtrack in there and just triple, quadruple the emotional impact of these beats in a way that really only he can is so rewarding. And I am pleased to say that when it's epic, it becomes even more epic. The goosebumps, you just feel them up and down your body. And when the pain comes, it's even worse. And so he is a force multiplier of the highest variety.
Such a good way to put it. Multiplier.
For me, it's when we get together to record these episodes as a group. Every time I look around at my ridiculously talented friends, and I still, sitting here now, cannot believe that we get to tell this story that we created, these characters that we built brick by brick together. We used to joke, wouldn't it be crazy? Wouldn't it be amazing if this were animated? Haha, it'll never happen. And the fact that we are this far in doing this on a regular basis, like I fall in love with it and them every time we get together at the recording studio.
Beautiful answer.
I do suck.
I'd say it's kind of extraneous past the creative process, but art isn't meant to live in a vacuum. It's meant to be shared and experienced by people. So kind of in this time period right now where we're talking to press and they've gotten screeners and we're starting to see people's reactions and feedback, because you're going through the whole thing going, is it good? I think it's good. We all think it is good, right? So to get that feedback in return of people losing their minds, I think that's my favorite part.
Yeah, it's very rewarding.
I love hearing that. And I'll just emphasize something you all brought up earlier. It's really exciting to me to see a franchise of storytelling evolve in a way where, at least to me, feels like every single step of the way serves as an entry point, because like, why are we doing this and continuing these stories if not to appease the people who already love what you're telling, but also bring in newcomers too? And again, as someone who only first pushed play on season 1 a couple of weeks ago, like I felt immediately welcomed in, and now I can't wait for more. So huge congratulations on everything you've accomplished with these characters. And now on season 3, I cannot wait to watch more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
One of us.
Yes. Oh, I'm here for it. To everybody out there, keep an eye out for season 3 of The Legend of Vox Machina. And also stay tuned. Much more. Like so many more interviews, nonstop interviews from Fantastic Fest 2024 for you.